In a small African village, nestled between dusty paths and fields of maize and millet, lived a very poor old woman. Her tiny clay hut, with a cracked roof and fragile walls, stood at the edge of the village near the forest. Most days, she had very little to eat and only a few possessions to her name. The villagers often passed her hut without paying much attention. Some whispered about her hardships, while others ignored her completely. Despite her poverty, the old woman carried herself with dignity. Her eyes, though tired and lined with wrinkles, shone with patience and quiet wisdom. She never complained, even when hunger gnawed at her stomach or the wind blew through the cracks in her walls. Every morning, she would slowly walk through the village, hoping for a little help or perhaps a kind word. Children sometimes peeked at her from behind doors, curious but cautious. Her life was simple and difficult, yet she maintained a hopeful heart, believing that one day someone might show her kindness. In the heart of the village, life bustled with activity. Women carrying water pots, elders sitting under the shade of large baobab trees, and men working in the fields. The old woman's presence, humble and quiet, was a reminder of the struggles that went unnoticed. Little did she know, a young girl with a generous spirit would soon notice her. This meeting would change her life forever, proving that even in the humblest corners of an African village, acts of compassion could create extraordinary moments and weave the threads of a beautiful story. One bright morning in the African village, a young girl walked along the dusty path that ran between the clay huts and small fields. She was known in the village for her kind heart and gentle nature. Despite coming from a family of modest means, she often helped others, offering what little she had to those in need. As she passed the edge of the village, she noticed the old woman sitting quietly outside her tiny hut. The woman looked frail and tired, her worn clothes barely protecting her from the sun's heat. The girl paused and observed her with concern. She could see the struggle etched on the woman's face and in her posture, an exhaustion born of years of hardship and loneliness. Unlike other villagers who hurried by, the young girl felt a strong pull of compassion. She remembered the stories her elders had told her, that every person, no matter how small or poor, deserved kindness and respect. The sight of the old woman moved her deeply, and she decided she could not simply continue walking without offering her help. The girl approached slowly, her steps careful and respectful, and greeted the old woman with a warm smile. The woman's eyes widened in surprise, not expecting anyone to speak to her kindly. The young girl spoke gently, asking if she could help with anything. Even this small act of attention and respect brought comfort to the old woman, who had grown used to being overlooked. This simple encounter marked the beginning of a new chapter for both of them. The girl's kindness sparked hope in the old woman's heart and laid the foundation for a story that would soon reveal the power of compassion, gratitude, and the unexpected blessings that arise when one chooses to help another in need. As the young girl sat beside the old woman, a deep sense of compassion filled her heart. She looked at the frail figure, noticing the wrinkles that spoke of a lifetime of hardship, the tired eyes that had witnessed many struggles, and the worn hands that had labored for years. In that moment, she felt a strong desire to help, inspired not just by pity, but by genuine care and empathy. The girl remembered the stories her parents had told her about kindness in the African villages. They had always said that true strength and beauty lie in helping those in need, no matter how small the gesture might seem. She understood that while she may not have much wealth or resources, she could still make a meaningful difference in the old woman's life. Looking around the small hut, she saw the simplicity and poverty that surrounded the old woman. The roof was patched with mud and sticks, the floor was bare, and the few belongings were worn and fragile. Despite this, the old woman's dignity remained intact, and her gentle smile reflected hope that had not yet been extinguished. The young girl's heart was filled with determination. She decided she would do everything she could to ease the woman's suffering, even if it meant giving her own time, energy, or small possessions. Compassion, she realized, was a gift that anyone could offer, and the impact of genuine care often went far beyond what one might imagine. As the girl extended her hand in kindness, the old woman looked at her with surprise and curiosity. This simple act of empathy became a bridge between two lives, forming a bond that neither of them had expected. In the heart of the African village, Beneath the warm sunlight and the watchful trees, a story of love, compassion, and the power of small acts of kindness was beginning to unfold. After feeling the deep compassion in her heart, the young girl knew it was time to act. She gently asked the old woman if she needed anything, speaking in a soft and respectful voice. The old woman, though grateful for the attention, smiled weakly and said that she was used to surviving on very little. Yet, her eyes revealed the truth. She was hungry and in need of care. The young girl did not hesitate. Though her own family had only modest means, she ran back to her home to gather what she could offer. She collected fresh bread, a few pieces of fruit, and a small jug of clean water. Each item was simple, but it carried the warmth of her thoughtfulness. Returning to the old woman, she handed over the food with a smile, making sure to speak kindly and respectfully. The old woman's eyes widened in surprise. No one in the village had ever taken such care of her before. She accepted the offering slowly, touched by the girl's humility and sincerity. As the old woman ate, the girl stayed by her side, chatting softly and keeping her company. The warm sunlight of the African village bathed them both, highlighting the clay huts, the dusty paths, and the trees swaying gently in the breeze. Children in the distance paused to watch, inspired by the rare display of compassion. This small act of assistance created a profound connection. The old woman felt that for the first time in a long while, someone truly cared. The girl realized that even a simple gesture, food, water, and companionship, could bring comfort, dignity, and hope to someone who had very little. In the heart of the African village, beneath the vibrant sunlight and the familiar sounds of daily life, a story of generosity, human connection, and kindness began to take shape, a story that would soon unfold in ways neither of them could yet imagine. After receiving the food and water from the young girl, the old woman sat quietly for a few moments. She had eaten very little that day, and yet her heart was fuller than it had been in years. The simple act of kindness had touched her deeply. She looked at the girl with wide eyes, astonished that someone had come all the way to help her, without expecting anything in return. For many years, the villagers had passed her by, some feeling pity, but most too busy with their own lives to stop and help. She had grown used to being ignored, to quietly surviving on her meager resources. But this day was different. A young girl, full of compassion, had chosen to act, to care, and to offer support. The old woman felt a wave of gratitude swell within her. She wanted to express her appreciation, but what could she possibly give to someone so generous when she herself owned so little? Her mind raced as she tried to find a meaningful way to show her thanks. She felt both humbled and inspired by the girl's selfless heart. Her eyes softened, and she smiled, realizing that true kindness does not demand a reward. Still, she felt compelled to offer something, even a small token, to honor the generosity she had received. Every gesture, no matter how minor, could carry the weight of a grateful heart. In that quiet moment, under the warm African sun, with birds chirping and the village life continuing around them, a connection was formed. The old woman felt hope stirring within her, a rare feeling she had not experienced in years. The encounter with the young girl reminded her that even in the humblest of villages, human compassion could shine brightly. Little did she know, the gift she was about to give, a simple old shoe, would soon carry a secret far beyond its appearance, marking the beginning of an extraordinary story of magic, gratitude, and unexpected blessings. After the young girl had shared her food and water, the old woman sat quietly, thinking deeply about how she could express her gratitude. Her heart was full of appreciation, but her hands were empty. She had almost nothing to offer, yet she felt a strong need to give something in return to the kind-hearted girl who had shown her such compassion. The old woman slowly rose from her worn mat and walked into her small hut. Inside, it was bare and simple. Wooden shelves held a few tattered belongings, and a faded mat covered the dirt floor. Every item she owned had been weathered by time, and most had little practical use. She searched carefully, hoping to find something meaningful, anything at all that she could give as a token of thanks. Even though her possessions were humble, the old woman believed that a gift, no matter how small, carried value when it came from the heart. She wanted the young girl to understand that her gratitude was sincere, even if she had no wealth to offer. The gesture itself would speak louder than gold or jewels. Outside, the girl waited patiently, unaware of the struggle unfolding inside the old woman's hut. She had never asked for a reward. Her kindness had been given freely, simply because it was the right thing to do. When the old woman returned, she carried a simple item in her hands. It was small, ordinary in appearance, yet it held all the meaning her heart could express. With a soft voice and humble eyes, the old woman explained that she had little to give but wanted to show her thanks. The young girl smiled warmly, already feeling the sincerity of the gesture. At that moment, both understood the importance of intention, of kindness, and of the invisible threads that connect hearts through gratitude. Little did they know, this small token would soon reveal a secret far greater than its simple form, a secret that would change the course of their story forever. After searching carefully inside her tiny hut, the old woman found a small, worn shoe. Its leather was cracked, and it had been used for many years, but to the old woman, it was one of her few remaining possessions. With careful hands, she held the shoe, knowing it was not much, yet it carried the weight of her gratitude and respect. She stepped outside and approached the young girl, who was waiting patiently. The girl looked at the old shoe with curiosity but did not speak, giving the woman the space to express her thoughts. The old woman's voice trembled slightly as she spoke, explaining that she had very little to give. This shoe, though old and ordinary, was a symbol of her thankfulness. It was all she could offer to honor the girl's kind and selfless heart. The young girl's face lit up with understanding. She knew that a gift's true value comes not from its appearance, but from the love and intention behind it. She gently accepted the shoe, holding it with care as if it were priceless. The old woman's eyes glistened with relief and joy. Her small token had been received with respect and appreciation. For a few moments, they stood quietly, sharing a peaceful connection. The African sun shone warmly above them, highlighting the clay huts, the dusty village paths, and the distant trees swaying gently in the breeze. Birds chirped softly in the background, as if celebrating this small, meaningful exchange between the two hearts. Though it seemed like an ordinary moment, this small old shoe would soon reveal its true importance. What appeared simple and unremarkable would hold a hidden blessing, a secret that would change the girl's life in ways neither of them could yet imagine. This moment became a turning point, a reminder that acts of kindness and gratitude, no matter how small, can carry immense meaning, and that sometimes the simplest objects contain the most extraordinary magic. The young girl held the old shoe carefully in her hands, examining its worn leather and simple design. To anyone else, it might have seemed ordinary, even useless. But she immediately understood that the value of this gift lay not in its appearance, but in the heart and intention of the one who gave it. The old woman had offered it with genuine gratitude, and that made it priceless. With a warm smile, the girl thanked the old woman sincerely. "This gift means more to me than you can imagine," she said gently. "Not because of what it is, but because it comes from your heart." The old woman's eyes filled with relief and happiness. For years, she had worried that her humble offerings would never be enough to express her gratitude. Now, seeing the girl's acceptance and understanding, she felt her heart lighten. The moment between them became a quiet celebration of humanity and compassion. The young girl realized that acts of kindness, no matter how small, could create deep bonds and lasting impressions. She felt humbled and inspired, recognizing that even those with little to give can offer the most meaningful gifts when given sincerely. For the old woman, this acceptance was more than just acknowledgement. It was proof that her gesture had been valued. It restored a sense of dignity she had long felt slipping away and reminded her that goodness could still be recognized and cherished. The girl carefully placed the shoe in her bag, aware that it was more than just a physical object. It symbolized trust, gratitude, and the magical connection forged through acts of kindness. In that small African village, beneath the golden sunlight and the swaying trees, both the girl and the old woman understood an important truth. The power of generosity and compassion is immeasurable, and even the simplest gifts can carry profound significance. Little did they know, the humble shoe would soon reveal a hidden secret that would surprise them both and change the course of their story forever. As the young girl carried the old shoe with her through the village, she began to notice something unusual. At first, she thought it was her imagination, but soon she realized the shoe was not ordinary. Its worn leather seemed to emit a faint, warm glow whenever she held it, as if it carried a small spark of magic. The girl discovered that the shoe seemed to bring her subtle protection and courage. On days when she faced challenges, crossing a busy path, climbing a steep hill, or helping someone in need, the shoe gave her a quiet confidence. It was as though the spirit of the old woman's gratitude had transformed into a blessing, guiding her steps and offering reassurance. She also noticed small, unexpected moments of good fortune. Tasks that were usually difficult became easier, and her heart felt lighter even during the hottest, most tiring days in the African village. Birds seemed to chirp more cheerfully around her, and the warm sunlight seemed to shine more brightly. The villagers began to notice her calm and positive energy, though they did not understand the reason behind it. The young girl realized that the magic of the shoe was not only in its physical form, but in the love, sincerity, and gratitude with which it had been given. The old woman's simple act of giving had created something extraordinary, a reminder that even the smallest gestures can carry hidden power and blessings. Through this experience, the girl understood that true value does not lie in wealth or material possessions. The old shoe, humble and worn, had become a symbol of generosity, compassion, and the unseen wonders that kindness can create. It showed her that every act of love and gratitude, no matter how small, can ripple through life and create blessings that extend far beyond what one might imagine. The girl held the shoe close, aware that it contained a secret that would soon reveal itself in ways neither she nor the old woman could have anticipated, transforming their ordinary village lives into something truly extraordinary. As the young girl continued to carry the old shoe with her, she realized that its value went far beyond its appearance. The humble gift had taught her a lesson that would stay with her forever. True wealth lies not in possessions, but in acts of kindness, gratitude, and compassion. The old woman, though poor and struggling for many years, had given the girl what little she had, and in doing so, had shared something far more valuable than material wealth, a piece of her heart. The young girl understood that even the simplest gestures, when offered sincerely, can create deep and lasting connections. This small act of giving and receiving had bound their lives together in a way neither could have anticipated. The story spread quietly through the village. Neighbors and friends observed the bond between the young girl and the old woman and were inspired by their example. It reminded the villagers of the importance of community, of helping those in need, and of showing respect and compassion, no matter someone's social or economic status. Even the smallest actions can ripple outward, touching many lives. The magical quality of the old shoe became a symbol of the unseen power that gratitude and kindness carry. It showed the girl, and everyone around her, that even ordinary objects can hold extraordinary meaning when they are given with a pure heart. The African village, with its clay huts, golden sunlight, and gentle sounds of daily life, became a place where lessons of humanity and generosity were lived, not just told. In the end, the young girl cherished the shoe not for any magical powers it possessed, but for the story it represented, the story of love, humility, and the enduring impact of small acts of kindness. She learned that true magic exists in compassion, that helping others selflessly is a gift in itself, and that gratitude can transform even the humblest of lives into something extraordinary. Thus, the tale of the old woman and the young girl became a timeless lesson. Kindness, empathy, and gratitude are treasures more precious than gold, and the heart of a generous soul can create blessings far beyond imagination.